Investiture of the Gods, Chapter 28.
King Zu's grand tutor, the Taishi, he's away, leading an army.
Mm-hmm. A figure of authority, of, let's say, institutional stability. And the moment he's gone, King Zu makes a move.
A controversial one. He reverses a decision the Taishi made just before leaving. He frees these two officials, Feizong and Yuhun.
Officials the Taishi had specifically imprisoned, so this isn't just, letting a couple of guys out of jail.
No, it feels like a statement. He's overriding his top general, his most senior advisor,
Right.
while that advisor is literally fighting for the kingdom. What's the signal there?
The signal is pretty clear, I think. King Zu is basically saying, my personal will, that matters more than the institutional process. He even claims the Taishi had, quote, wrongly accused them.
So personal loyalty to him trumps loyalty to the state or, well, even basic justice as the Taishi saw it.
Exactly. That's the political setup. And it was challenged, right?
Yeah, his own uncle, we see, speaks up, says, this is improper, releasing men the Taishi implicated, especially now.
But Ziya just waves it off, completely dismisses it. And what does he do immediately after making this power play?
He decides it's time to party. The source uses this phrase, indulge in pleasure with absolutely no restraint.
That's it. The political choice opens the door, and then the indulgence, the lack of restraint, invites something else in.
Which brings us to the peony banquet. He throws this lavish feast in the imperial garden, supposedly to admire the peonies.
Right, and he's trying to frame it as this grand echo of the ancient Sage King Yu's court, peace and prosperity through celebration.
But the descriptions, they paint a picture that's almost weirdly artificial, isn't it?
Very much so. The source mentions paths carved with 2 dragons playing with a pearl. Okay, standard imperial stuff. But then it talks about baboons talking and parrots singing.
It sounds less like a natural garden and more like some kind of engineered fantasy land.
Exactly. An attempt to build this bubble of perfect, opulent joy, completely separate from the reality outside the palace walls, where there's war and unrest.
And King Ziya buys into it completely. The text says he laughs wildly, just totally swept up in it.
That wild laughter is key, because while he's ecstatic, his most loyal officials are feeling something very different.
Yeah, there's this glimpse into a private conversation. Huang Feihu, the Wuqing Wang, talking with Ritzi and Jizi. Huang Feihu doesn't mince words, does he?
Not at all. He basically says this banquet is no good banquet. He says straight up, they have no heart for celebrating, not while troops and horses run wild and fighting erupts. They see the writing on the wall. They fear that if the king doesn't change his ways, their days are numbered. They're trapped in this performance of loyalty while they watch the kingdom crumble.
It's this really stark contrast. The king's forced joy versus their genuine despair. And maybe that tension, that, rift, somehow invites what happens next.
It certainly seems to set the scene. The party goes on and on. King Zu starts drinking in the study pavilion with Daji and Hutime, then joins the main feast.
It lasts late, really late, past midnight near the 3rd watch, the source says. Candles are lit, everyone's tired, probably drunk, defenses are down.
And that's when it happens. Daji, who supposedly passed out drunk on a couch in the study pavilion, well, her original form slips out.
Her true nature. And the text is explicit. It's looking for people to eat.
And the atmosphere just shatters. Suddenly, this strange wind whips through the garden, described as unusual, destroying flowers and trees.
A violent disruption. And then silence, because the wind also mercilessly extinguishing the candles.
Plunging everyone into darkness. Chaos. You can imagine the panic.
People scream, "The demon has come!" And who steps up?
It's Huang Feihu, the same man who is just despairing about the kingdom's fate. Even half drunk, the source notes, he confronts the terror.
What did they actually see? The description is quite specific.
It is. In the dim light, they see this creature with eyes like golden lamps, long tail, sharp claws, short body. And the text identifies it quite clearly, like an old fox from Zongshan.
A predator, not just some vague apparition.
Yeah.
And Huang Feihu, he doesn't have a weapon ready, does he?
No, but he reacts instantly. He breaks off a piece of the peony pavilion, railing a solid piece of wood, presumably, and lunges at the fox.
But the fox dodges. It's quick.
It is. But Huang Feihu doesn't stop there. This is where his preparation, his resources come into play. He calls for help.
Not for guards, though. For something specialized.
Exactly. He calls for the golden-eyed divine eagle. This bird, imported from the North Sea, is apparently famous for one thing. It is known to subdue foxes, the specific countermeasure.
Wow. So he knew this was a potential threat, or at least had the tool ready.
It seems so. Or he just knew his assets well. The eagle dives down, claws described like steel hooks, and strikes the fox.
Does it work?
It does. It scratches the fox, which lets out a scream and bolts. It burrows under a big Feihu rock in the garden and vanishes.
The immediate threat is gone. But the aftermath. King Ziya saw all this.
He did, and the source says he was genuinely disturbed, shaken. He orders his guards to dig right where the fox disappeared.
And what they find, well, it confirms the horror, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Just 2 or 3 feet down, they unearth countless piles of human bones, skulls, the evidence of a hidden slaughterhouse right there in the imperial garden.
The text uses the term sesir Zuishiharan for King Ziya's reaction, genuinely frightened, horrified.
For a moment, the illusion is shattered. He sees the grim reality beneath the peonies. He even acknowledges, apparently, that those warnings he'd heard about a demon aura pervading the palace were true.
Finally, reality breaks through. But does it last?
That's the tragic part. It doesn't seem to. Because the focus immediately shifts. The physical danger is over, but now there's the hidden danger.
Daji, back in the pavilion, she wakes up. And she feels something.
A scratch on her face. She instantly knows. The divine eagle didn't just attack some random fox. It wounded her, her true form. And she knows who called the eagle.
Huang Feihu, even though he didn't know it was her he was fighting.
Exactly. She realizes she's been exposed, or at least attacked by someone loyal. She's angry about the injury, and the plotting starts immediately.
So the next morning, King Zhao sees the scratch on her face. He asks her what happened.
And this is the critical failure. Daji spins a tale, a completely flimsy, almost poetic lie.
What does she say?
She claims she was just wandering in the garden, enjoying the beauty, and oh dear, she accidentally got scratched by a branch from a Chinese flowering crabapple tree.
Wait, a crabapple branch? After what he saw last night, the fox, the eagle, the pile of human skulls under the rock, the blood and fur the eagle clawed off.
Precisely. It makes no logical sense. Hours before, he saw undeniable, gruesome proof of a deadly predator. Bones. Physical evidence.
So how can he possibly buy this story about a flower branch? Is he just dense? Or is something else going on?
I think the source implies it's a willful blindness. Accepting the truth of skulls, the demon fox, means confronting the terrifying reality that his beloved Daji might be this monster. It requires action, disruption.
Where's the lie?
The lie is beautiful, romantic, a lovely woman, a picturesque garden, a harmless little accident with a flower. It allows him to instantly snap back into his preferred reality, the one centered on pleasure and beauty, not horror and responsibility.
He chooses the comforting fiction over the ugly truth because the truth is too inconvenient, too terrifying.
It seems that way. He accepts her story without question. And then the ultimate irony.
He tells her everything.
Completely oblivious. He recounts the entire incident from the night before the strange wind, the fox appearing, Huang Feihu's bravery, calling the eagle.
The digging, the bones.
Everything. He even confirms, as if offering proof for her, that the eagle's claw still had blood and fur on it from the attack. He gives the demon a full intelligence briefing on how she was discovered and who was responsible.
Unbelievable. He hands her the motive and the target on a silver platter.
And Daji listens, surely hiding her fury. The source tells us she develops this deep, secret hatred for Huang Feihu, for wounding her, for exposing her, even inadvertently.
And she makes a vow, doesn't she?
A chilling internal promise. I fear you will meet difficulty on a narrow path. This transforms Huang Feihu's fate. He's no longer just a loyal minister potentially out of favor. He's now the personal target of a vengeful supernatural entity hiding in plain sight. And then the news that gets back west to King Wen. It's not just bad news, it's genuinely horrific. It sets up this idea of complete moral decay right at the top of the Shang dynasty. Makes action almost necessary, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely. The initial report that comes in, it boils down to two connected issues. First, King Ziya's own behavior. It's described as unprecedentedly depraved. We're talking beyond just bad ruling. I mean, yes, drinking, lust, the usual excesses are mentioned, but the detail that really crystallizes it, the one that tells you things are maybe past the point of no return, it's that shocking story about Bigen's heart being carved out, supposedly to make soup for Daji's illness.
That detail, it shifts the whole ground, doesn't it? It's not politics anymore. It feels like a moral imperative. But interestingly, the first move, the target King Wen lines up, isn't the king himself. It's this specific minister, Chong Haohu. Why this local strongman first?
Well, you see, the king might be the root cause, unstable, morally bankrupt. But Chong Hu is presented as the active agent of chaos in the administration. He's the one grabbing power at court, bringing in other bad actors like Feihu, and actively stamping out anyone who dares to disagree. The censors, the honest officials, suppressed. And the effect on the ground is, well, the text says the common people are living in absolute misery because of his greed and cruelty.
So King Zhu is the disease, maybe, but Changhu is the raging symptom that needs immediate treatment. And Jiang Ziya, King Wen's key strategist, he sees this clearly, right? He argues Changhu is such a, quote, great evil that he has to be dealt with first, like a preemptive strike before things get even worse.
Exactly. Ziya knows they need to stop the bleeding, the immediate source of the suffering, before they can even think about tackling the bigger problem in the capital. But, and this is crucial, this creates a huge legal hurdle. King Wen sees it right away.
Right. King Wen's first reaction is hesitation. He balks because technically, legally, he and Changhu are peers. Same noble rank. So attacking him without a direct order from the emperor, that looks an awful lot like rebellion. And that's the one thing King Wen absolutely cannot afford to seem like. It just undermines his whole claim to be acting righteously.
Mm-hmm. And that hesitation, it really shows King Wen gets the importance of political legitimacy. He understands that if he acts unjustly, even for a good cause, he risks becoming the very thing he's fighting against. Now, this is where Ziya's argument is really quite brilliant. It's a masterful legal and moral reframing of the entire situation. He points out that King Wen possesses special imperial tokens, the white banner, the yellow axe. These are just decorations. They signify delegated imperial authority. They give King Wen the actual power, the pre-approved right to, quote, prohibit violence and eliminate traitors.
So that changes everything. Ziya is basically telling him, you're not rebelling, you're acting on behalf of the throne, enforcing its laws against a corrupt official. You're the designated cleaner, in a way.
Precisely. It frames the whole campaign as assistance, not conquest. The stated goal, the public justification, is to root out the corruption so that the emperor might see the error of his ways and, repent and turn good.
Yeah.
They even invoke the ancient sage kings, Yao and Shun.
And by framing it that way, saving the emperor's virtue, saving the people they keep the moral high ground, that's essential for this to be seen as a just war. King Wen is apparently very pleased with this. It aligns with his own character, focusing on saving, not conquering, so he authorizes it. But he also decides to go along personally, alongside Ziya, which seems important maybe to ensure the strategist's necessary efficiency doesn't tip over into cruelty.
That's a great way to put it. The sovereign's benevolence acting as a check on the strategist's focus. And with that moral justification locked in, the campaign kicks off. And it's serious. We're talking 100,000 troops mobilized almost immediately.
Wow.
King Wen, Ziya, Nanggongxi leading the vanguard. The sheer scale of it sends a powerful message across the land.
It's strategic signaling, isn't it? That number says, we mean business, don't mess with us.
Exactly. But just as important as the size is the conduct of the army. The source goes out of its way to highlight the public reaction. This wasn't some marauding force. It says the army marched so orderly that the locals, the fathers and elders, actually came out to welcome them. And that detail about chickens and dogs were undisturbed. It sounds quaint, but it's politically vital. It means no looting, no chaos. It reinforces the idea that Shiki is here to liberate, not oppress.
Okay, so they arrive at Chang City, the corrupt minister's base, but Changhu himself isn't there. He's off in the capital church. Convenient. So the defense falls to his son, Chang Yingbiao.
And right away, you get this clash of narratives. From inside the city walls, Chang Yingbiao doesn't see an authorized force. He sees King Wen as a, quote, tyrannical invader, a rebel attacking their territory without cause. So he sends out his general, Huang to fight. Standard defense procedure.
But Shiki isn't playing by standard rules, it seems. Their general, Nanggongxi, described as a famous commander, takes on Huang Yuanji.
And it's over fast. The text says Nanggongxi kills him in under 30 rounds. Bang!
That's not just a win, that's a demolition. It screams superior training, superior leadership.
Absolutely. It tells everyone watching. Shiki is efficient, powerful, and decisive.
The message definitely gets through. Chang Yingbiao is, understandably, furious. His general's dead. So he calls out King Wen and Ziya personally, time for the commanders to face off. And this is where the text gives us those great visual descriptions, really painting a picture.
Yeah, the contrast is really telling. Ziya comes out looking every bit the Taoist sage, fishtail crown, crane cloak, silk sash. The text literally says he looks like an immortal descending upon the battle. His power isn't muscle, it's wisdom, strategy, maybe even cosmic alignment.
And Chong Biao. He's all martial energy, great red robe, gold armor, this really fierce-looking tiger tail steel whip. He's a picture of a young, brave warrior defending his home turf. Maybe a bit outmatched in the wisdom department, but full of fire.
Definitely. And before they fight, there's the obligatory verbal showdown. Ziya uses it like psychological warfare, right? He denounces the whole Chong family's ocean of evil, their mountain of poison, just hammering home the moral justification in front of everyone.
Then King Wen adds his voice, urging Ying Biao to surrender to spare the city's people. An appeal to reason, to mercy.
But loyalty, or maybe pride, wins out for the young commander. He won't back down, and the battle erupts.
It starts with individual duels, but then Chang sends in reinforcements. 2 more generals jump in to help.
Ziya doesn't miss a beat. He immediately counters, sending in 6 of his own commanders Nangongshi again, plus others like the 4 sages. It's an overwhelming response.
They just have more depth, more talent.
And it shows. The text gives specifics. Lu Gongwang takes out 1 general with a spear. Xin Yan gets the other with an axe. Quick, decisive kills.
The rest of the Chong forces just break and run back into the city, slamming the gates shut. The field belongs to Jiki.
So they've won the battle outside the walls. Morale must be sky high. Ziya, the strategist, naturally prepares for the next logical step. Lay siege, take the city, capture the Chong family, end it quickly.
Right. Military logic dictates. Press the advantage, finish the job while you have momentum.
And this is where the chapter pivots, and we hit that central moral dilemma we talked about at the start. You've justified the war, you've proven you're stronger. Now what? Do you go for the swift, efficient, possibly brutal victory? Or does the principle that launched the war dictate a different path?
And this is where King Wen steps in and does something really remarkable. He stops his own army. He overrides Ziya right at this peak moment. Ziya wants the siege. King Wen says absolutely not.
Yeah, and his reasoning cuts right to the heart of his character, his Rennie, that blend of benevolence and righteousness. He's afraid that storming the city will lead to what the text calls the burning of jade and stone together.
Jade and stone.
It's a powerful metaphor. The jade is the innocent people, the good citizens trapped inside. The stone represents the guilty officials, the Chong family, and their loyalists. King Wen fears that a bloody assault will inevitably kill the innocent, along with the guilty.
And if the entire point of the campaign was to save the people, committing mass slaughter to achieve it would completely betray that core mission. He'd be no better than the tyrants he opposes.
Exactly. It's a profound strategic sacrifice. He's choosing moral consistency over military speed. He's willing to delay the campaign, risk losing momentum to uphold that principle. It really sets him apart from your typical win-at-all-costs commander. It demonstrates his leadership operates on a fundamentally different ethical level than King Zhu's court.
And Ziya, how does a strategist take being overruled like that?
He respects it. He sees the king's moral logic as sound, even if it complicates things militarily. So he adapts. The strategy shifts instantly from overwhelming force to, well, something more subtle, political maneuvering.
Instead of breaking down the gates, they try to unlock them from the inside.
Pretty much. Ziya comes up with a secret plan. Nangongshi is sent off again, this time to a place called Kaozu. He carries a letter, not for the emperor, but for Chong Feihu. And Chong Feihu is Chong Feihu's brother.
Using family ties. Trying to create internal pressure to resolve the situation without having to storm the city and kill civilians. That's clever. It uses King Wen's mercy as a political tool, almost.
It's really in pivot, yeah. Leveraging the king's established reputation for benevolence to hopefully achieve the same goal, removing Chong Feihu, but without the bloodshed.